Trans influencer Rose Montoya banned from the White House after going topless at Pride event. Rose Montoya is a TikToker who has made several videos about me and how I'm a bad representation of trans people.
Blaire White is another one of those ultra privileged trans people that I will never understand, because she hasn't struggled like most of us trans people have struggled, and so she just doesn't fully understand. She has a lot of really problematic views, and why I think she's worse than Caitlyn Jenner is because she spreads misinformation, like literally fake news. But she also, just has like really strong opinions that are very transphobic, that are very problematic, that are very racist, that are very ableist, and that are very classist. And I, think that she's the worst representation of what a trans person can be.
How I make the trans community look bad. And look at this. Congratulations, Rose, on your full story arc of saying that Blaire White is a bad representation of trans people, and you are officially the first trans person banned from the White House in history during the most pro-LGBT administration in history. My, how the tables turn. So let's just watch the video in general that is going viral and making headlines and that got her banned.
Welcome to the White House.
Thank you. Can we take a little video? Hi, Mr. President. It is an honor. Trans rights are human rights.
Are we topless at the White House?
Disgusting. What an embarrassment you are to trans people and to America. I say America because I would have loved to believe 5 minutes ago before seeing this that we as a country were above someone taking their tits out at the White House. How humiliating for you, first of all. I mean, I think you might actually be the most embarrassing trans person I have ever seen in my life. And I am putting you above like every cringe TikToker I've ever reacted to on my podcast, my main channel, or even just scrolled past and been like, ew, you are actually the worst. Because you had an opportunity, Rose Montoya, to be that better representation that you said Blaire White wasn't, and to conduct yourself with dignity, class, grace, respect at the White House and represent not only yourself, but trans people, and to show that trans people deserve respect because you're holding yourself with respect. And you not only fumbled that bag, you fumbled it, spit on it, buried it, and you're proud of it. Is that harsh? Of course it is. And that's why I said it. Because I can't even believe how disgusting this is. Like I said, you're the first trans person banned from the White House, and you were banned from the White House during the most pro-LGBT administration in history. That is your legacy. That is your legacy. So while you were so, on your high horse about how Blaire White is just so toxic and Blaire White is such a bad representation of trans people, look at you. Embarrassing, disgusting, beneath the dignity of the White House, regardless of who's in office, by the way. Like, do I love Joe Biden? Of course not. Am I a fan of Joe Biden? Of course not. Do I think that he's the president and that you're at the White House and that deserves respect regardless of your political positions at all? Of course. Embarrassing. And this type of thing, all it does is turn people against trans people. You know what would have been an amazing look, Rose Montoya? You disaster. For you to show up at the White House, use that invite that you got because of your platform where you supposedly teach respect for trans people and behave respectfully. And the other gag is that apparently there were kids present. So you're whipping it out in front of kids. And that is just an amazing thing to do in light of all the groomer discourse, right? Perfect timing during Pride Month. Embarrassing. You're tragic. You're busted. You're crusted. You're disgusted. And you will never live this down. I don't care how mean I sound. I'm being real. I hate it. Rose made a response video to people and of course played the victim, because what other card could she pull? So let's watch that.
It has recently come to my attention that conservatives are trying to use the video of me topless at the White House to try to call the community groomers, etc. And I would just like to say that, first of all, going topless in Washington, D.C. is legal. And I fully support the movement in freeing the nipple, because why is my chest now deemed inappropriate or illegal when I show it off? However, before coming out as trans, it was...
I'm going to lose my mind. You got naked at the White House in the vicinity of the president and children. And the message you're taking out of all the backlash you're getting is you support free the nipple. Even if you support that, because like I don't support necessarily that message. But I can get my head behind, I can wrap my head around people who are like, nipples shouldn't be censored regardless of gender. I can wrap my head around it even if I disagree with it, right? It's not like it's that crazy of an argument. However, that is not the point of what's happening. You disaster. The point is you, first of all, doing it in front of kids. So you being called a groomer, is it that crazy of a thing for people to call you? I would assume people who strip in front of kids would probably get that adjective launched at them, that label. And is it that far off? I don't know. You decide. However, to pretend as if people that think you're disgusting are not completely justified in thinking that is pretty wild. What an embarrassment. What a horrible representation of trans people. And what an opportunity you flushed down the toilet to be a narcissistic pervert, really. I mean, it's perverted behavior. It's very perverted. But again, Blaire White's the problem, right? Blaire White's the bad look for the trans community, according to Rose. So you have fun with that. Nice legacy you have there for yourself. Moving on to more pride nonsense. A lot of you guys might have heard that there's some Call of Duty drama. Dipping into my straight man bag right now. So there's some Call of Duty drama surrounding pride. They removed Nick Merckx. Is it Nick Merckx or Nick Merce? Merckx. Nick Merckx operator skin from their shop after LGBTQ comments. He reacted to a protest where parents are protesting gender ideology being taught in schools, and he agreed with the protest and said the words, "Just leave kids out of it." And that was enough for Call of Duty to try to cancel him. But what's so funny about that is, of course, these corporations that partake in, rainbow capitalism for the month of June never actually stand behind their principles, right? They'll be quick to cancel someone and throw someone under the bus who's easy, but what they won't do is actually stand behind what they purport to believe in. Because as I tweeted, and this tweet went pretty viral, 3 million views, Call of Duty, before canceling Nick Merckx for being anti-LGBTQ, censored the pride flag in the Middle East version of the game. And here you have a screenshot of the exact same thing happening in both of these versions of the game. But of course, the American version has the pride flag and the Middle Eastern version does not, because that's not so profitable in the Middle East, because they only support LGBT people based on profitability. How people don't see through that is amazing to me. How about Call of Duty, if you actually gave a singular shit about LGBT people, stand on that where it counts, right? Because those are the countries where it actually counts. Those are the countries where people are really being used, abused, human rights violations are occurring, horrible things are happening to people. I get emails on a regular basis. I'm not going to be dramatic and say on an hourly, daily basis, because it is a little more rare. However, I am consistently hearing from people who live in the Middle East, who are LGBTQ, or just aren't, or just a little bit, different, or perceived to be LGBTQ, because it's like a witch hunt in those countries in many cases. If you have a little bit of feminine tendencies as a man, You have to be just as fearful as the actual gay man in these countries. These are the countries where it actually counts. People are actually being discriminated against isn't even the word. It's used and abused, right? Having their human rights violated on a legal, humanitarian level, like bad. So guess what we don't need in America is more shoving of the pride flag on everyone's throats. Guess where we might need a little bit of pride flag showing up? The Middle East. So while you are canceling creators for saying leave kids alone, I mean, wow. I often say you are what you answer to. If you hear someone say something anti-groomer and you're like, oh my God, I'm taking that personally. Oh my God, I'm taking that as anti-gay or anti-trans. What are you saying about gay and trans people? What are you saying about yourself if you find that personally offensive? Because when I hear people talking to anti-groomer shit, I'm not like in my feelings talking about, oh my God, all this transphobia. What? Literally what? Like, it's just insane to me. If you guys enjoyed that short clip from the podcast, make sure you guys subscribe to this channel as well as my main channel and watch the full episode, which will be somewhere on the screen.